This is Hayden Lerman from SHC TV, and today I'm very lucky to be joined over Zoom by top-tier boxing promoter Johnny Clark ahead of the Chaos card on the 10th of February at the Brentwood Centre in Essex. So yeah, mate, how have you been over Christmas and New Year's?
Uh, it's been good. I've had a birth of my baby daughter, and then the show I had was a week after, and then it rolled into Christmas. Unfortunately, my dad weren't too well, so I was back and forth at the hospital again, and then we had to. Thank God he's home now, and then we straight in with a media day at Lakeside. So it's been chaotic, and the show being called Chaos, you couldn't write it. Honestly, I think I've cursed myself, mate. If I'm being honest, I've definitely cursed myself.
That's good to hear that your dad's better, mate, and congratulations on the birthday of your daughter, obviously. So yeah,
Thank you, thank you.
how did you first get into boxing promoting, and what was the process like from, deciding you wanted to become a boxing promoter to then fully getting into it?
Yeah, so one of my good friends growing up was Lee Eaton, and then he went off, and I didn't see him for years, to be honest. He'd done some unlicensed boxing, and then he caught the eye of MTK and the good platforms, and he cracked on, and he really done well in the scene. And I went my way. I done a couple of businesses that have been successful, and then it got to the point where them businesses are running themselves. And I said, like, I want to get into something that I don't really need money at the moment. So something that I love. And I looked at the boxing, I messaged Lee. I was kind of like his understudy for a month or two. But what it come to was I struggled being a number two after being a number one for so long. And then from that, I was like, right, I'm going to go out and what can I be straight away? A manager, you need to have a license for 3 years. I didn't want to be a whip or corner man, So I thought, do you know what, promoter probably suits me better anyway. From running companies, organisation, yeah, that led me down to just applying for it, studying again. Like I hadn't studied like that, learning about something new in a long time. I just done something I was good at in previous businesses and then carried it on. But this one was like new to me, learning the rules, the regulations. But I actually really enjoyed it, and it didn't seem like work or hard work. Yeah, and then I got my license, and then yeah, just cracked straight on. I knew I could do a little bit better than what I was seeing around me as well, if I'm being honest.
How did top tier boxing sort of come about? Because obviously you just mentioned there that you got your license and that, and then you obviously are the founder of top tier. So how did top tier sort of come about?
Yeah, so as soon as I got my license, I thought I wanted to come with a name. If I'm honest, I was like, you got top rank in America. Um, I like that name. And then I was like, top tier. I wanted a logo that would stand out. And one day I wanted to have like merchandise. So I was like, the TT, top tier. Yeah, I like that. So we run with that. Yeah. And then I was just like, it's a statement, like calling yourself top tier, like higher level, um, good logos. And I thought, yeah, I want to put on the best show. So I done my first show called The Statement. And I thought I wanted to come a little bit different because it's small hall in our area. It's just a boxing ring. You walk out a door into the hall and then you jump in the ring. There's no special feeling. And then the Southern area titles, like they're the best fights you can really see. Like no one really gives you like a good feeling about them. You're just going in fighting a normal fight, no special ring walks. So I thought if I call myself top tier, I want to be the best. If I can get some sponsors on board and really make the hall look like an arena, with all the LED screens, instead of having a cage around the ring, like hang it from the ceiling that cost quadruple the amount that the cage around the ring costs. And I thought, if I can do this, I should be able to draw some boxers to want to fight on my show. And that's basically what's been happening. Although it has been difficult this time round, I have to be honest, chaos. Mainly because of Christmas. I think a lot of people have had Christmas off and they haven't been in the gym. So fighting at weights and whatnot, they're finding it difficult. But yeah, that's how it's all come about.
Okay, so obviously looking back on a successful 2023, which moments would you say stick out to you when looking back on your first year as a promoter?
The first show um, was like a learning curve because it looked perfect to everyone in the arena. Yeah. Like everyone there, they said, yeah, it was a perfect run show, no problems. But what they didn't realise is I spent a lot of money on LED screens, and the LED screens, something happened, they got a virus and they didn't turn on. So people just thought they was just walking off a platform into the arena. But what they didn't know is, yeah, the LED screens broke. So I had to show a bit of resilience. And this is where all the names from my shows come from. All experiences from my show. We had the statement, momentum, resilience, then established. That kind of tells the story of the year. Like, one is trusting boxers and managers as well, because you put a lot of trust. I put a lot of money into them. The promo videos we do, I'm sure you've seen, they cost a lot of money. The posters, the media days, like now sit at the media day and you're looking at boxers thinking, are you going to be on the show? You're here, but are you going to be on my show? Because the amount of media shows I've done, you'd say, 20% of the boxers, 30% of the boxers don't actually fight because of injuries or pull-outs, illness. So it's quite hard to invest yourself, your time and your money, and not knowing whether you're going to get that fight over the line. So one thing I've noticed is trust the managers, and certain types of boxers, and reading the signs from people, whether they're really up for fighting or if they're just doing it for Instagram.
Yeah, so that sort of leads me on to my next question, and that's how do you deal with fights falling through and fighters pulling out?
To be fair, from running companies, it's very similar to my previous company. So it was a sales company that installed solar panels, and the sales never complete until you've done the install. And then the best thing about me is if we had an installer ring me up in the morning and say, I'm not well, by the afternoon, I'd make sure that job was installed. So I'd get my book out, get Facebook, Instagram, go through all companies, LinkedIn, and I make sure that that's replaced. And it's the same in boxing. I had on my media day for this show, I had Jordan Perkis retire on Thursday. The media show was Friday, and the media show started at 3 p.m. At 2:59, a boxer come up to me and said, the board had just called me, I can't fight because my license won't be ready in time. And then obviously I've dealt with the media day, got through that, and then next morning, 9 o'clock, both fights were replaced because that's just how you do it. You expect it, and with small hall, one fight pulling out could be either a massive loss for the show or you could just start to break even because you judge it by the numbers, by the tickets. And like on my last show, I had £15,000 worth of tickets pull out on the actual weighing day, so that cut me. But you deal with it, but it is hard. It is very hard to deal with sometimes, especially when you've done your bits as a promoter. You've ticked all the boxes, but then the boxers, they've got to do their bits. And if they don't, or they get injured, which you can't help, it hurts, because there's nothing you can do to change it.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be very stressful for you. So, what I wanted to also ask you is this upcoming Chaos card, massive card from top to bottom. Which fights would you say you're most looking forward to on the card?
To be fair, James Osborne and Grant Dennis. Grant Dennis was actually the first boxer to walk out at one of my shows. So he was the first fight on my first show. And then James Osborne is someone I've been building. He took a fight on my first show that was a bit risky against a 2-0 kid. And he was like 3-0 at the time. And he actually knocked Ray Bear out. But I spoke to his team before it. I said, please trust me. I've seen James. I've been around him. I know he's going to win. It's not going to be easy, but to be on top tier, the amount of money, time and effort we put in, we only want these type of fights. We don't want too many journeymen spoiled in it or journeywomen. We want the best. And to get that, I need 50-50s. So from the first show, they put their trust in me. And then the second show, they had a pull out. And then I replaced it within about 20 minutes. So they still fought on the show. And then unfortunately for the fourth show, his opponent in his first title fight didn't make the weigh-in. So, that fight got paused. And I said, I will 100% get something over the line for you for this show. And I got him Grant Dennis, which for me is a great fight for both of them. It's whether Grant stays in the sport for much longer if he wins. He does. If he don't, he'll have to have a look. And for James Osborne, it's, if I beat him, people will match him only just beating him. If I beat him in style, then hopefully I can get up onto one of their shows, and that's what I'll be pushing for him.
So when looking at the card, there is a lot of 50-50 fights, as you mentioned there. Would you say that's the goal for top tier, to get as many 50-50 fights as possible?
Yeah, if I could say 50-50 only, I would. Nothing against Journeyman, and I'll be honest with you, with the pullouts, Journeyman have saved 3 of my shows. So I can't. I'm not against them. I love them. That what they do for the sport, but I believe the sport's changing there, and people know who's a journeyman, who's not, who's coming to fight, who's not. Selling tickets are getting harder. They're seeing people at shows fight. Oh, he was on last week fighting the boy from my other gym, and it's getting a bit obvious. In my eyes, if you're a professional athlete and you're a pro boxer, I would like to see you have a go after at least 5 fights. After 5 fights, I think you should be looking at Southern Area eliminators and going for the Southern Area. So there's no problem with losing. You lose on my show, but you have a 50-50, you're always welcome back. Take Kevin Revell. He was in my first show in the tournament. He lost, come back. He knocked someone out in 23 seconds of the first round. Come back. He lost on points to someone who went on to a Southern Area fight, which I thought he actually won the fight. And now he's on my show against a 4-0 kid. And in his interviews, he said, what's a loss? I tried. If I come out second best, that's fine. But I want to be here to fight. I don't want to pay someone to come in and move around while I get some shots off. I actually want to fight. So that's the aim. People with that mentality, and maybe because he's from the same area as me, we've got the same mentality in business and in fighting and boxing. So maybe that's why it works so well with Kevin. But now I've got like-minded people messaging me. I'm up for 50-50s. And if I do it, I don't want to do it in a hall where no one sees me. I want the media around me. I want nice footage after the show as well, like highlight reels and whatnot. All boxers love all that. The photos I send them, I just give them a big media package, care package. Go, yeah, take that. And thank you for being on my show. So, yeah.
Yeah, so then obviously looking forward into this year, how many shows would you ideally like to have in 2024, and what are your sort of plans for 2024?
Well, to be honest, it's quite hard to promote a show in 8 weeks. That's what I found. Because I had 6 title fights lined up for Chaos. 5 of them fell through. So then in a week, I made this card. Right. So that's why it's actually called Chaos. But after this show, like now, this show's done. I'm already lining up April the 27th. So half of that's full. It depends what happens on this show, who fills them gaps. But even like the artwork, so all my backdrops that I've got to get made, so everything has to start now. And 8 weeks has been so much chaos. I keep saying it, but that's why it's called it. That I don't like it. I like to prepare, be organised, and not rush. So we're going to go 5 maximum. Maximum shows I'm going to do a year is 5. All in the same Brentwood Centre. People from Leicester, Leeds, they're all coming down to fight on the shows. So I don't need to move venues just yet. I would like to go on a top tier tour. I did say I was going to do that this year, but I just think at the moment, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, 100%, mate. So, what I also wanted to ask you is, what do you want to sort of achieve this year? Like, with
Yeah,
yeah,
this year, 5 successful shows. I haven't had a sellout yet. I've been close. I've been like 300 from capacity. But that's been due to, like, the last one would have been a sellout if the fight didn't pull out on the scales. So I'd like to sell out the venue, like no tickets are available on the door. And I'd like a TV deal because these shows, like if you see them online, if you see them in the venue, they are a little step above other small hall shows. But to keep doing that, the stress, the sponsors, and the amount I have to pull in for these shows myself and sell tickets myself, it is a lot. So if I had a little TV deal that just, not paid me, just paid the commentators, paid the filming, maybe in a little bit here and there, to pay for production, then that would give me a bit of a breathing space for less stress and concentrate on the fights more, and maybe get a few purses out there. But yeah, that'll be the goal, just to sell out the arena and also to get a TV deal.
so
Mm.
yeah, what would you say your end goal would be as a promoter as a whole? Like, so say 10, 15 years from now, you're looking back, what do you sort of want to achieve as a promoter?
Um, to be fair, like now, what I look for now, I don't think much will change. So take Kevin Revell. I want his best memories of boxing to be on my shows. A lot of people moan about boxing in boxing, but when they're on my show, I get them quite happy and they leave the show quite happy, win, lose, or draw. So I just like to give people a better view of boxing, to make boxing a little bit more special in small hall. And I did when I first started say, oh, I wanna be at West Ham Stadium, you know, promoting there. But I think in small hall, I think I could really find a place for me and be the one as like I see myself as an academy for Queensbury, for Matchroom, for Boxer. They come through me and then they get media trained, they get a good record, they get a little belt under them, and then like they get just stay the silver Commonwealth, and then you could go and fight on one of the big boy shows for the gold Commonwealth, you know. So that's where I'm at. And then in 10, 15, I believe, yeah, just to be the best small hall promoter, but I wouldn't be upset if I was up there with the big boys.
100%, mate. So where can we watch this top tier card?
Well, this one, there's talks going on now with the broadcaster, so that probably be announced a month out. So give me a week, and that will be on there. We have been on AOZAC currently, but as I said, I'm not paid to be on Sky at the moment, so just gonna go through a few avenues, see what I can do. But the least it will be on is Sky 186 AOZAC.
Okay, so have you got anything you want to promote, say for your Instagram, anything like that?
No, just for the top tier, at top tier, and the page will do the talking for me.
So thanks so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, we'll definitely do it again sometime down the line. And I wish you the best of luck with the card. And yeah, thanks so
Yeah,
much for your time, mate.
no worries. Pleasure talking to you.